Welcome back to Reform Rundown, a podcast where we interview reformers to learn more about their work in the progressive era. Today we're going to be discussing and interviewing Carrie Nation, who is most known for her work in the temperance movement. Some background information about her. Although you may not have heard of her, Carrie Nation is actually one of the most important progressive era reformers because her actions had newspapers and reporters talking all over the country, buzzing about her. They were rarely, unfortunately, written in a positive light, as she didn't hold back in her protests. Most of them took the form of extreme violence against property and just overall extreme violence as her main tools of getting her point across. Now we will be interviewing Carrie herself.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
Hello. To start off, how would you be able to tell us a little bit about your life?
Well, I was born in 1845 in Kentucky. My family was very impoverished, and my mother was mentally ill, which led to a lot of neglect. At points, it got so bad that I was sleeping in the slave quarters between an elderly woman and her husband. They showed me great care, but it couldn't make up for the sorrowful lack of parenting that I received.
Did this part of your life have any effect on how you felt about alcohol or how you decided to fight against it?
There was a little bit of that certainly surfaced in my actions, yet there was much more to it than that. Throughout all my life, I had a horrible relationship with alcohol. My first husband was an alcoholic, and he died of pneumonia compounded by drinking just 6 months after my daughter was born. This was the key point where I began my crusade because I saw visions that I interpreted as a call to battle drunkenness. I figured temperance would make our country a safer, happier place, and I was willing to fight for that.
So, how did you fight for it during the movement?
Well, during the movement, I believed that anyone could destroy saloons with impunity, as drink was illegal in the eyes of God. I began doing walk-ins where I read sermons and prayed. I would smash up the bars and saloons, and I even recruited others to help in my, quote, hatchetations. I was then given the nickname Hatchet Granny.
Was there any consequences for the damage?
Yeah, I was jailed many times after smashing saloons, but I could be released after paying fines.
Sounds horrible. How did you come up with the money to pay these fines?
Well, I held several lecture tours, and I sold souvenir hatchets. I was making up to $300 a week. Eventually, I published many newsletters like the Smasher's Mail, the Hatchet, and the Home Defender. I also created an autobiography, The Use and Need of the Life of Carrie Nation, in 1904.
So, let me get this straight. In the face of arrest and ridicule from people all over across the country, you made newspapers and an autobiography to spread your message? That sounds like real dedication. Is there anything else that you did to advocate for your cause?
Yes, I really believe in the Word of God, that being one of sobriety.
This podcast has been graciously sponsored by J.P. Morgan & Co. J.P. Morgan is the largest, most trustworthy bank for all of your business needs. If you need help with financing your business ventures, managing your assets, or storing your money away safely from the greedy tax man, you need J.P. Morgan. They also offer new investment opportunities for citizens and plenty of benefits if you do choose to work with them. Find out more about J.P. Morgan on our business podcast, Finance First. All right, well, that concludes the rest of my questions. Thank you for your time, Carrie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this week's Reform Rundown. We hope you learn more about Carrie Nation and her work in the temperance movement during the progressive era. See you next week.